Hey, what's going on, you guys? Not my typical vlog post format, but I really haven't had a whole lot of time to record a vlog post today. It was pretty much work, get out of work, and rush home, get things done around here that needed to be done before I take my son to driver's training, which happens really here in about 35 minutes. So really pressed and tight for time. And my phone, you just heard it ding. It's been blowing up nonstop since about 12:45 this afternoon. In case you've been living under a rock or are not into the photography thing at all, Photokina is happening right now in Cologne, Germany. And Photokina is a humongous international photo event where manufacturers from pretty much all the manufacturers in the photography space convene on this location, and a lot of them make major announcements, and Olympus was no different today. They kind of geez, oh Pete, I'm having a hard time with this. Just a lot of announcements today by Olympus. Several of them are really, really big announcements as far as I'm concerned, and I just kind of wanted to take a minute to talk about some of those. First of all, let's talk about lenses. Olympus announced a couple of new lenses today, 3 of them, as a matter of fact. All the rumor sites seem to get all this information ahead of time. It's so weird. I don't understand how that happens. But, if you read those, they've been mostly right about everything as far as the lenses go. There was the announcement of a 30 millimeter macro, which fits in nicely with the lens lineup as far as its focal length is concerned, just because it fits in there in a nice gap that was there in the prime lens lineup. We went from a 25 to a 45, and there really wasn't anything in between. So that focal gap has been filled with another prime, and this one happens to be a macro. Personally, I see a lot of use for this. It's going to be like this the whole time. I'm sorry. I can't turn it off because I've got like 4 devices here that are all dinging. Perfect use cases for this. For somebody who wants to shoot like watches or product photography in a studio where you don't need to keep a certain distance from your subject, for fear of spooking it off, like the 60 millimeter macro for me, photographing insects and things like that, where I want to stay further away from them. The 30 millimeter macro will let you get closer and and be able to shoot your subject, in great detail. I'm not even joking. I've had like 50 emails in the last 2 hours. 50, that's just emails. The instant messages are freaking ridiculous. So again, sorry, it's exciting. So it lets me know that everybody else is as excited as I am about these products. So that's the 30 millimeter macro. Next one is honestly a lens where I thought, I don't know, will I use it or not? And then we started getting more information on it from Olympus about it. And then after knowing that fellow trailblazer Alex McClure was shooting with it for a while and talking with him, I'm like, okay, I want it. It's the 12 to 100 millimeter f4 Pro. Yeah, 12 to 100 millimeters. That's like from wide angle to telephoto, all in one lens, and not just in one lens like the 14 to 150, but all in one lens package that is a constant f4 aperture throughout, and it's weather sealed. And because it's part of the Pro lineup, it's really weather sealed and rugged. And it has the manual focus clutch, which I love on my lenses. All my lenses are up here, else I'd show you. But basically, you snap the ring back on the front, and you can automatically go from autofocus to manual focus just like that. Other features of the lens, it's got a lens function button on it, which is nice. I always have all of my lens function buttons set up to a custom MySet that puts the camera into continuous autofocus tracking and sequential shooting, so that it's for birding for me, or for shooting wildlife in motion. So I got the camera pulled up, I hit the lens function button, and I'm automatically transferred over into shutter priority, 1/800th of a second, auto ISO, continuous autofocus tracking, all at the push of a button and on the lens. So smart. And there's another doodad on the lens that is definitely worth note, and that is a image stabilization switch, which currently only the 300 millimeter f4 Pro has on it. And now this 12 to 100 has it on it. So basically the way this works is all of our camera bodies in the Olympus ecosystem have image stabilization built right into the body, which is incredible on its own, especially if you've ever used it. You know what I'm talking about. It's lovely to have. But now the 300 millimeter and now this 12 to 100 have image stabilization in the lens. So if you're a Canon user or another brand user who can only get image stabilization in a lens, you know how that works. Imagine taking the image stabilization in your lens and marrying it to the body and having those two communicate with one another to work in tandem. The level of image stabilization is unprecedented. Anybody who's ever shot with the 300 millimeter will tell you that the minute you do a half shutter press on like the EM1 or the EM5 Mark II or the Pen F, where this tandem image stabilization works together, they will tell you that it's just an awe-inspiring thing to see, because at 300 millimeters, your hands are shaky, and then you know, your subject seems like it's bouncing around in the lens, and then all of a sudden, it's just like frozen. Now it does it with this new 12 to 100 millimeter F4 Pro, and it offers up to 6 stops of hand holding ability, which is, I don't think there's any place else you're going to get that anywhere. So big kudos to Olympus for that, for making a lens that I thought, I don't know if I'd need that, to now I'm of the mindset I have to have that lens. That will be the lens that's always, I will literally go down to a one camera, one lens system for all of my day-to-day, everywhere I go, or traveling with my family. And my wife is like, oh, are you going to bring that big giant bag again? I won't have to. I'll have one camera, one lens, and a couple of batteries, and boom, I'm good. So that's 30 millimeter macro. That's 12 to 100 millimeter F4 Pro. And the pièce de résistance, I guess, an incredible lens that I am super stoked to get, because currently I've been having to use this lens to get what Olympus is now going to offer me. This is a Voigtlander, what we'd call a hyper prime. This is an f.95. Wicked wide open aperture, super bright, allows in tons of light, but it's manual focus, you know, and it was like $1,000 for a manual focus lens, which is ludicrous. Olympus announced today a 25 millimeter f1.2 full autofocus. Not only full autofocus, you've got the manual focus clutch in it as well. And I've seen image samples of this, and actually there are image samples on Tracie Maglosky's website, which I will put a link in here. If it doesn't go in immediately after this broadcast, come back in a couple of hours after I drop my son off to driver's training, and I'll make sure the link is in there below. But when you see the image samples shot by Tracie, you're just gonna, your brain's gonna melt. Gorgeous, beautiful bokeh from this. Super shallow depth of field. And the fall off from the depth of field, from going from the portion of your image that's in focus to out of focus, it's nice and smooth and creamy and just melts away. It is, I don't know that we've got any lenses in the system like that. I guess the closest thing you would find to it might be like the 75 millimeter f1.8, but this is on a whole nother level. It's really pretty astounding how much of a difference there is between 1.2 and 1.8. There really, it's a noticeable difference. Speaking with Tracie, she is just head over heels for this lens, and her body of work and her standards to which she holds herself for what she creates. If she says it's this good, then damn it, it's this good. This is going to be one of those, you must own this lens. If there's one premier lens in your setup, it's probably going to be this one. It's going to rank so high when the review units go out and different websites get a chance to test it. We did a product briefing a little while ago, you know, with Olympus, where they went over, I'm going to get this wrong. I do this every time. The MTF, or is it MFT? I don't know. The MTF charts. And this ranks up there with, holy cow. This ranks up there with like, there's a certain brand of lens that starts with the letter Z. I hate dropping competitor names, you know, I don't want to poo-poo anybody else's stuff, but I'll just say it, whatever. Zeiss makes a lens. It's about $5,000. I think it's the Batis or the Otis. I don't know. It's one of those crazy names. It's like an 85 millimeter f1.8 or 1.4. This lens stays on par with that lens on the MTF or MFT charts or whatever you want to call those, as far as like it's super sharp from center all the way to edge, wide open. This is not a lens you'll stop down. But those Voigtlander lenses that I've got, I can't shoot those wide open. It looks like I'm living in a hazy dream, which is fine. It's, you know, interesting, whatever. But if you want resolution and detail and crispness, then you want to be able to shoot. You have to shoot stopped down with those lenses. With this Imzuiko 25 millimeter f1.2, Tracie shot after shot after shot after shot, wide open at f1.2, and they are stupid sharp from center to edge. It's cool. And normally, you know, I don't notice those details, but when Tracie started pointing out, well, you know, check this out or look at this, and I'm like, wow, you're right. Like, this is just sick. It's just sick. I don't even know what else to say. So yeah, those are the lenses. Those are the 3 lenses. I could probably go on and on and on. You know, I obviously fanboy mode here, and I get like this a lot with a lot of their announcements, but there are certain products that when they come out, I'm just really, really enamored with. And this 25 millimeter f1.2 is certainly one of those. I shoot only primes on my Pen F. It's just kind of this little thing I'm doing, or a little challenge I've issued to myself, or what have you. So to be able to put that 25 millimeter 1.2 on a pen, oh, I can't wait. It's going to be good times. And let's see, what else do we have to talk about? Yeah, there really wasn't anything else to talk about, I don't think. Maybe just an EM1 Mark II. Yeah, so I'm really running short on time. I don't want my son to be late to driver's training, so bear with me. I might start talking a little bit like a what do you call it? I don't even know. Like an auctioneer, I guess. I'll just be talking really fast, maybe. So let's talk about the EM1 Mark II. EM1 flagship camera for Olympus. It's just a great camera. It really is a great camera. If there were a department in which it lacked, I think that most people who have shot with it that transitioned over from the DSLR would probably say where it lacked was in the autofocus department. Not that single autofocus was bad, because it was fast. It was lightning. It's usually spot right on. You know, I personally never have much issue with it. But for shooting sports, and I'm not a sports shooter, and for wildlife, I tend to shoot still subjects, but I have chased after eagles and hawks and some deer and stuff like that. And once those animals get in motion, it's tough to track. And, you know, a good chunk of it is technique, but, you know, a good chunk also is the technology in the camera, which allows the camera to keep the lens on focus. And in DSLRs, it's always been next level. I know that's why I've got a buddy who shoots professionally for local media here in Michigan. And him and I went out and shot, and I let him use the EM1, and he was using his one of the 1DSs and a 5D Mark III, or I think maybe. And he said he loved the OMD. It just wasn't keeping up with the tracking as football players were coming towards us. And I had to agree. You know, it just wasn't there for his level of shooting. That's about to change. So what's going on with the EM1 Mark II is in the EM1 it's basically like dual AF. You know, you had contrast detect autofocus and phase detect autofocus. Phase detect is what really gives you the ability to track a subject as it's kind of coming towards you or obliquely, but not like a panning shot. And so Olympus initiated, the dual AF system, and it kind of automatically selects between contrast and phase detect, depending on, your lighting conditions and camera settings and all that. And it just did everything it could do to make the tracking better. But now they've one-upped the game with that. So basically what we're looking at is 121 points of not your standard autofocus points, but these are cross-type autofocus points. If you're a Canon shooter, this terminology probably rings a bell for you. It is the type of autofocus points that you'll find on, I think, probably most of the Canon and higher end Nikons. It's and I don't know the technology behind it, how it works, but basically the cross type, I think it detects shift from one side of the sensor site to the next. It makes the ability for the camera to detect which direction an object is moving in easier, so it allows for the tracking to work better. I probably totally got that wrong. Who knows? I might have made that up. I don't know. But anyways, got you wondering, don't I? So we went to the cross-type autofocus points, which, again, if you're a sports shooter, this rings a bell with you, so you know that it's going to be definitely a more robust and reliable way to do the autofocus. And you heard the number right. Did I say it? 121 cross-type autofocus points. And I don't remember what the focus point count was before, but it was significantly smaller than that. I don't have any specs in front of me. I could dig them up on the internet somewhere and find them, but much larger increased area for focus points, like 30 or 40% larger area of autofocus points, which is a big deal. Let's talk about sequential shooting when we're shooting sports. We're on sports, right? So you want to be shooting fast frame rates. Continuous autofocus tracking on. 18 frames per second, full resolution raw files. That's a lot. That's fast. 18 frames per second. For the vast majority of sports, 18 frames per second is definitely going to capture all of those critical moments. I can't think of too many where it wouldn't. Lie. I don't know. Something where the puck or the ball is traveling at like 200 miles an hour, I guess. I don't know. Other than that, 18 frames per second. For wildlife shooters, 18 frames per second is definitely going to be a boon for shooting. What if you are not in tracking mode? You're just panning on single autofocus. So like a gazelle running across the horizon. This number is just ridiculous. 60 frames per second. 60. That's, I don't even know what to say about that. I know personally I want to try shots like being focused on a batter up to the plate. As soon as the pitcher releases the ball from their hand, I'm holding down on that button, and I guarantee after one or two pitches, I'm probably going to get that shot where the ball is frozen in contact with the bat. It's not an easy shot to get. If you've ever tried it, you know it's not the easiest shot to get. But at 60 frames per second, I think you're probably going to be able to get that shot. So this is something else that, oh man, I don't even know. It's taken and saved for you without you even having to have done anything. I think that's pretty wild. What else? Actually, now I'm opening up the spec sheet here because I didn't have it handy. How about this? So dual processors, dual image processors in the camera, dual quad core processors in the camera. So that allows for some of these crazy like super fast frame rates. Man, I don't even know. It's pretty much lag-free shooting at that. Being able to, by having dual processors like that, you can pretty much shoot lag-free, which again, if you're a sports shooter, you see a theme here. I think we're really trying to hit the mark here with the pro market. I think we've already kind of captured the pro market as far as like wedding and portraiture and event shooting. The glass is there. We already know that. But one area that we seemed to have been lacking in was the ability to track a subject, a fast moving subject at that. And being able to have that super fast autofocus with the cross type autofocus points. I can't even talk. This again helps to ensure that you're going to keep your subject locked on. Oh, and another cool thing too. So as you're on subject with your camera and you're doing your tracking, you actually get to see which focus boxes are active while you're tracking your subject, which is really handy, especially if you're tracking like a bird in flight or something like that. Because as you see them moving through the frame, you know that you've got your focus boxes on the subject. And if your subject starts to get out of the boxes, you know that you need to move faster to keep up with it. So I don't know, a lot of cool stuff here, you guys. I really apologize for running through this stuff so fast. I suppose a blog post, like an actual written post, is due for you guys, or maybe a slower paced update via video. Again, apologies for running through this so fast. I've got a kid sitting downstairs who really wants to go learn how to drive a car, and he's got a parent sitting up here talking to you guys who really doesn't want to pay a higher insurance premium. I'll talk to you guys later. Link below in this in the comments section or the show description here to the live streamed broadcast that they did over there in Photokina, so you guys can actually watch it and get it straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. Thanks for watching, you guys. I see there's 7 of you watching now. Talk to you guys later. Bye.